Hey.
How have you been for 2 years?
Shooting the shit, just chilling like Matt Dillon on penicillin. Oh, Cynthia's regretting this already.
I know, I know. Um, I have, I can't believe it's been 2 years, first of
I
all.
can't.
Um, what have you actually done in 2 years? Because you've got
Y
quite a lot of news.
yes, lots changed. Lots changed since we last spoke, Cynthia. I have got an agent now, so I'm with fabulous Lauren Gardner.
Yay!
And yes, and I have a three-book deal with Fox and Ink.
Ooh,
And the first book is called Foes and Cons, which I've mentioned on the old circuit
yeah,
a few times.
you
But that's
have.
out that's out in June. That's my baby. I'm really, really excited about that one coming out. And then I have some other stuff going on as well, but
Yeah.
maybe more sort of like secret stuff, I think.
We like
So
secrets.
yeah. So it's been a busy couple of years for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
going back to pros and cons, you did one of our episodes like a long time ago was about getting stuck in places.
Oh
I
yes.
can't remember what episode it was, but go back and have a look. And it's called Being Stuck in Places.
Yeah,
And that was
because
your research for that book.
because there's a scene in the book where the main character gets stuck in a chair, and I was like looking for other funny places that people had got stuck, and yeah, it is cast. It starts in one place but then ends up in another. Like
Yeah.
some of the things that get stuck.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I know it's
Um,
too early.
I know. But yeah, and just general, the main character is a little bit of a klutz. She gets herself into various, situations. And so I was doing a lot of trawling back in my own years,
Yeah.
about some of the things that I have happened to me, but also some of the great stuff that people have shared on the internet. So yeah.
Yeah. It's very
Mm.
good. I've already read it. I can't wait
Yeah.
to read it again.
Oh, thanks, Cynthia.
But we're going to share a publication like window because we both got
Yes.
books out in the summer. So that's going to be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the first time, isn't it? I mean, it's been such a long
Yeah.
time for me, but our first books came out at different times of COVID year or the
Yeah.
year after COVID. So yeah, it's going to be a good summer, I think. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So what about you? What have you been up to?
Oh, I have written, I'm just looking, I've got all my book covers on my wall. So I've got eight. I've got eight covers up there. One of them is an anthology that I did that might have just come out when we recorded last. It's called A Taste of Darkness. There's loads of
Yeah.
people in that one. I have done a Barrington Stoke book, which was just coming out last time we recorded, called Welcome to Camp Killer. So that's the dyslexia friendly publisher. I signed a 3 book deal with Delacorte Press and Penguin. I don't know if, no, we won't have talked about that. So that
No,
was,
no,
um,
because that feels like the most recent big thing.
yeah. But I think I'd signed the deal, but I don't think we were allowed to talk about it last
Right,
time we
yeah.
recorded.
Yeah.
So yeah, first book came out in September. That was Keep Your Friends Close. And my second one is out in July, and that's called Paint Me Like Your Dead Girls. And it's been my most favorite thing I've ever written. It's just really weird. And I did research about it in Mummy Brown when we did an
Oh
episode,
gosh, yes.
yeah, about weird paint and how people in
Yeah.
Victorian times used to grind up mummies and then use them in
Mm.
paint and for various other things. um, so that was my weird research for that book.
And I
So
think it's the best title as well out of all of your books.
yeah, it's brilliant. My editor suggested it and I laughed out loud and I was like, I don't know if that should be my first
Yeah.
reaction, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then it was suggested again. And I was like, it was like so far above all of the others. And I just I couldn't stop. Like, it makes me chuckle when I say it
Yeah.
out loud. It's really funny. Um, yeah. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, I mean, don't want to talk about life stuff. I'll
Yeah,
cut that
like
bit out.
yeah. I helped out at a so Foes and Cons is about a convention over a weekend for a fake vampire, not fake in the book, obviously. I've made it's fake in my head. For a TV show called Vampire Falls, and it was based on my experiences of going to loads of conventions like Buffy conventions and Vampire Diaries conventions. And after I wrote it and I got the book deal and everything, my local bookshop, who I have entered into a romance with, um, they approached me for like my day job stuff and asked if we wanted to be involved in their comic book convention. And I ended up spending the whole weekend running around at this like comic convention, basically being in my book that I'd written. It was like the best weekend ever.
That
it
sounds
was it
cool.
was crazy and exhausting.
Yeah.
Um, and to be on the other side of like a convention was really, really cool. But yeah, it was crazy because I said to them afterwards, I was like, you basically at the end of this book, this happens and that happens, and you've basically made me my own main character.
Oh,
Yeah, so Katie really got it, but Bub was just like, yeah, whatever. Hit the
yeah.
the guys there. So yeah, that was really cool. That was good fun.
That does sound fun. I trying to think of all the things in the last 2 years. I
Oh,
did one of my like dream things and went on tour last year with Karen
oh yeah.
McManus and Jennifer Lynn Barnes
Yeah, yeah.
and like chaired, got asked, did I want to chair in an email while I was walking the dog and saw the email and was like, don't reply straight away. Don't reply straight away. And I was just dying to go, oh, yes, of course. Like I wouldn't have wiped everything else out of my diary to go and do it. And that was amazing. And then after that, I got asked to chair for Holly Jackson. So I got to do
Yes.
that at Conway Hall in London, which was unbelievable. And I've met loads of people and I've chaired loads of different events, which has been really cool. And
Yeah.
something that I never kind of thought of or never saw myself doing.
Yeah, I mean, that becomes, we were talking about this before, like when you start writing and you have all these like writing goals and it's like get an agent, get a book deal, get,
Yeah.
sprayed edges as well.
Yes.
But also these things come up and you think, oh, actually, I want that now. And then it all becomes bucket list stuff. And
Yeah.
the other thing as well, you went and saw your book getting printed, didn't
I
you?
did. Yeah, went down to the factory. We went, I won't say which factory because we went to the pub next door the night before and left accidentally more inebriated than if we'd have had a drink, let's say, because we sat out in the garden and there was a bit of a funny smell.
Oh,
And we were
right.
like, oh.
Yeah. Oh,
And the next day, our driver told us that that is the one pub that is renowned for that in the area.
oh,
And we
oh.
saw the whole, we had a great time.
Yeah, lovely.
Saw the whole thing. Yeah, so I got to see that. Didn't get to see the sprayed edges because it is one man in a little like area
Gosh.
spraying books. God bless that man. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, because the edges are beautiful, but I don't think I'd be very bored. I hope he's got a good audio book or something on the go.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or
he's
a good
listening to us.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Sprayed Edges Man. Thank you for my books. Yeah, I went to America. I went and saw.
Oh, yeah.
I went
Oh,
to
gosh.
the Penguin Random House Tower in New York, and when I got there, they had my face like photograph just in the window on one of those like a TV board.
Mm.
That has a better name. I don't know what it is.
Screen.
A screen on the screen. And it said, Welcome, Cynthia Murphy. And then I got to go and hang out with all my editors and met my copy editor.
Mm.
They like put cake on, met the then director who's now retired, who was lovely. And that was just mad. Got to see my books in like Barnes and Noble on Fifth Avenue and just mad. Like
Very
saw my
cool.
books in Nashville, Toronto. Like it was a mad trip. It was brilliant. So yeah.
Amazing stuff.
But not really been busy. No. What about you?
No,
No.
can't think of anything. Can't think of anything interesting.
So tell you what we'll do now.
Mm.
Podcast has changed a little bit, hasn't it?
Mm.
So
Yes.
we are not just going to talk rubbish to each other like usual. Maybe I think if something crops up in the future, maybe we'll do a little solo
Yeah.
bonus episode. But we are going to have a guest on every week. We are going to split it into two kind of bits. So we're going to have their path to publication because every writer gets to a book in a different way. And having met so many people, I kind of feel like everyone's is so different and they're always interesting. They're always happy to talk about it. Like I'm always happy to tell people how I got published.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask them that. So if you are a writer or if you're querying or you're thinking about writing a book, that might be a really good bit to listen to.
Mm.
And then, of course, we're going to ask them, have they researched anything weird and wonderful
Yeah.
while they've been writing a book?
Yeah.
So they can tell us all about that.
We should do our origins, our
Yeah, we
origin
should
stories,
do
and
maybe
also
when our
like
books come out.
yeah, and because people often ask how we met as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, so
Someone
we
once
should.
thought we were married.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
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 Not quite. Almost.
Almost
Yeah.
work wives.
Work wives.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're
Mm.
gonna split it into two bits, but we're gonna kick off with a little bit of who are you reading?
Yeah.
So Georgia, what are you reading, or who are you reading at the moment?
Well, like I said, I've entered into this relationship with my local comic book shop because I've never really been a comic book reader. I've read the odd like volume where they bring like the Buffy, comics together. But I haven't really done it properly. So I've been exploring that world. And recently I have the book here. I read Who Killed Nessie by Paul Cornell and Rachel Smith, right? So Paul Cornell is like a legend in the comic book industry. He's written like I think he's prolific. He's written all sorts. And they actually came, I saw them speaking, and like I said, I'm quite new to the world, but I could have listened to them talking about comics and the process for ages and ages and ages. So this is literally what it says on the tin. It is a story about the main character goes to look after a hotel that loads of cryptids go and stay at for the weekend for their
Oh,
convention.
oh, that's
And then,
cute.
yeah, somebody finds Nessie murdered.
Brilliant.
So it's up to the main character to try and find out who did it. So she sort of does, she pulls aside like the Jersey Devil and like Unicorn and Bigfoot and kind of gives them, you know, the first degree to find out where they were and stuff and what their motive might be. So it's a lot of fun.
Brilliant.
I've really, really enjoyed it.
Is
So
Mothman in it?
Mothman is in it, yes.
Mothman's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard things about Mothman.
That he's got little butt cheeks.
Well, yeah, yeah. He's kind of like the
He's like
stud,
famous for having, yeah.
yeah, of the cryptid community.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
Um, one of my favorite podcasts, and that why we drink, they talk about Mothman's butt cheeks quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm reading, or who I'm reading, R.L. Stein.
Oh,
So I
classic.
am
Bob.
reading The Snowman. I thought I'm going to dig out some old books and like every season. So I've pulled out some winter ones. So I've only just started reading this morning. And already the main character is not only kind of a murderous psychopath, but she is imagining how to kill her nasty uncle while making out with her boyfriend in the car. So as she's kissing her boyfriend, she is fantasizing about how to kill her uncle.
Classic.
And you know what? I'm into it. It's starting off
Yeah.
really well. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is what I'm reading.
A nice, easy read.
I think so,
Yeah.
hopefully. But yeah, a good start.
You kind of
Um,
know what you're getting into, don't you?
yeah, point horrors are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
that, like just easy. Um, so what are you watching?
Well, it's
So
December, so
yeah,
no spoilers, guys. But obviously, we watch Stranger Things.
yeah. And we can't
Obviously.
do spoilers, can we? Because I
No.
I was so annoyed. I saw a character on Instagram and
Mm.
I was like, right, well,
Yeah,
that's not a
it's
surprise now.
no, I deleted
So
Instagram.
Well, I
and
did after I
everything.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So I
then,
had no idea. First episode was boring, and then it's that Stranger Things thing where you're like, oh, something's got to happen now, and then something happens, and you're like,
yeah.
okay, all right, okay.
Well, I really liked catching up with the characters again because I had an epic binge watch rewatching.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
seasons 3 and 4 I did in days and then straight into season 5. So it was really nice to kind of catch up with them all and what
yeah,
had been happening.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's loved it. Loved the last episode. Can't wait for the next.
Definitely, definitely.
But
And then and we've been watching Derry as well, haven't we?
yes, welcome to Derry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's up and down. We keep saying the kids are brilliant and the adults are really
Yeah.
yawn.
Well, it's just boring and it's all
Yeah,
military stuff. And so
yeah,
it is, I feel like it's trying to be Stranger
yes.
Things and it's just not quite.
Yeah, and
Um,
I didn't realize just how much it was doing Stranger Things until I
yeah,
watched Stranger Things. And there was a whole bit in Derry who actually is one of the more interesting adult characters, the guy who can like has those visions and stuff. But there was a bit where he ended up in a big black room and it was just all black.
yeah.
And I was like, well, that's 11. But then
Well,
of course
you know who
that
he is, don't you?
who is oh well, he's
He's the guy out of
Halloran.
The Shining.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
But there was a Halloran and a Hanlon, so it was very confusing.
Yeah.
But
It's like when they cast actors who just look the same and you're like,
yeah,
I don't,
um,
everyone's got like brown hair. I don't know who you are now.
yeah, but yeah, it's cool. I'm persevering with it, so
Yeah,
yeah,
me too. I think more
mm,
out of loyalty
yeah,
to like
yeah,
Stephen King and the original It.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, there's a couple of episodes left.
yeah,
I think they might be out now actually.
mm,
Mm,
yeah.
okay.
Anything else? Anything else you're watching?
Christmas stuff. I guess
Yeah,
save it for the next episode. Let's move
yeah,
on.
yeah.
So we are joined today by our wonderful guest, the legend
Mm.
Karen M McManus, who I have the pleasure of actually knowing in person now. After being one of my favourite YA authors for years, we got to go on tour together, and she mistakenly gave me her phone number, so now I can send her text messages. And I'm not sure if she's ever regretted it, but she agreed to come on. So I don't know if it's maybe she's thinking that she'll finally get rid of me if she just does this one last thing. But Karen is a New York Times #1 bestselling author. She writes young adult thrillers, including the One of Us is Lying series, which of course turned into a TV show, as well as several standalone novels, including my favourite, which is Two Can Keep a Secret, which actually I accidentally thought that I wrote when I wrote Signed, Sealed, Dead, and I wrote the end. And Luke brought me in a drink because that's our little thing. If I write the end of a book, Luke brings me in a drink. And I went, and ran to my shelf and grabbed Two Can Keep a Secret off and flipped to the end and was like, oh my God, thank God. Because I thought I had just completely copied the end and then not realized. And I don't know why I thought that, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I had a
Ah.
panic, but that's my favorite. And her most recent, Such Charming Liars, which of course are wonderful reel featuring Lowly with her swag bag, was in. Karen's books have been translated into 42 languages, and she is very good company on a long train journey.
Oh.
Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you
Hello.
so, so much for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure.
We
Love
are
your
so excited.
background.
Thank you. I've got my little Christmas tree, my little pink tree. I have a copy
Oh,
of
that's
Such Charming
cute. Love
Liars,
it.
but my big head blocks most of it, I'm afraid. Um, and this is Georgia. This is
Hi,
Hello.
Georgia. How are you?
Bestie,
Hi.
who I
Good,
probably told
thank
you
you.
about.
Yeah, I was in the audience at one of your gigs in London
Oh,
when you
which
were with
one?
Cynthia. It was the one that was the really cool church.
Oh, that was such a great location.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. I
Yeah.
was like, they couldn't have picked a better venue. It
yeah.
was
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
That was the first one.
I thought it was
It
the
was
first one.
it was a little cold. That was my
Yeah.
only complaint about that location was I
Yeah.
was freezing for the
It,
entire event, but it looked
what
amazing.
what
And the
time of
green
year was
room,
it? Was
it
it the
was
beginning of?
It was
November.
November.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it was cold.
but it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
cold. And the green room was actually this like little dungeon basement
Oh.
in the church. And we all just, it obviously wasn't a green room. It just had these plastic chairs and they were in a circle. So we all just sat there looking at each other kind of awkwardly and feeling like we like needed to tell everyone why we're an alcoholic, or it
Yeah,
was like
it was a meeting
it
kind
was
of
definitely a meeting room, yeah,
atmosphere.
or like a counseling environment. So that was a strange. There was no cups of tea, and
Oh
like you go
dear.
to other
No.
places and you get offered like a cup of tea or a
Yeah.
glass of wine, or no, that was just
And
cold.
that was my very first time ever using the I'm a friend of Cynthia Murphy's. I'm not on the list, but
Nice,
because I didn't
nice.
have a ticket, I just happened to be in London and I thought,
Yeah,
oh, I can go across town and catch up. And it worked.
yeah.
So,
Oh, there
guys,
we
if you
go.
ever are not
Excellent.
on the list for something, just give that a try.
Oh, please don't. No, and then I'll get in loads of trouble. Or someone will go, who? Okay, anyway, enough nonsense. Karen, we are going to ask you the question that all writers love to answer. And that is, how did it happen? How did you get published? How did you get where you are? What was your journey like?
Oh, well, it goes all the way back to second grade when my teacher had all of us write a story. And this was very exciting to me. It had never occurred to me that I could write a story. But I did, and I loved it. And she saw that I loved it. And she worked with me kind of all year on my creative writing. And I told everybody, I'm going to be an author. That's my job. That's what I'm going to do. Um, but as I got older and tried to actually finish things, got a little bit more ambitious, I just couldn't figure it out. It was too hard. I had some other interests, and I just thought, this is the kind of thing I did when I was a kid, like roller skating or soccer, and I don't do it anymore. It's just a little kid hobby I had, and it's over. And it really felt over for a very long time. I went to college. I didn't do any creative writing in college, got a job in like marketing communications, got married, had my son, like all good stuff. And every once in a while I'd read a book and I'd think, oh, that's so good. I wish I could do that. But I didn't think much more about it until I was on a business trip going from Boston, where I live, to Portland, Oregon, which is all the way on the other side of the country, very long flight. And I had nothing to read. So I stopped in at the airport bookstore and I picked up The Hunger Games. And that was
Excellent.
the first time that not only did I think, oh my God, I love that, but I also thought, I wonder if I could do something like that. There was something about the voice that really spoke to me. That young adult voice, the emotions like really close to the surface, the fact that she's going through this incredibly stressful, deadly experience, but
Yeah.
also going through a coming of age journey at the same time. And I just found it really compelling. And so, for the first time since I was a teenager, I sat down and I wrote what I would now recognize as pretty bad fan fiction of the Hunger Games.
I
It was
love
like
that
my
so
my
much.
own little dystopian tale, which I was not aware at the time that dystopian was considered a dead
Mm-hmm.
genre. This was like 2014, I think, because it was just saturated.
Mm.
A simple Google search would have told me that, but I didn't do it. I just wrote this whole book and was really proud of it because I had finished a book, which is pretty exciting, and thought, how do I share this masterpiece, with the world? And Googled, how do you get published? And I do think maybe the first or second thing I saw was that dystopian is dead.
Oh
And I
no.
thought, oh, yeah, I do wish I knew that. So I wrote this whole book, but I did try to get an agent. No luck. Now that I look back on it, it was not a good book. It was practice. I was
Yeah.
figuring out how to write. But the great thing about that book was I made writer friends and I started sharing my work with other people and just growing so much because that was, I think, the piece that was missing as a young person was I never knew how to get or give feedback. so I never knew how to get better. And I also thought that if you hit a point where it gets hard, well, that's it. It's just not working and you should give up. So,
Yeah.
so I kind of learned a lot of different skills about just pushing through and figuring out how to work around roadblocks when you're writing. And I wrote a second book, and that was better, but still not great. So One of Us is Lying was actually the third book I wrote when I got back on this journey of writing. And I was driving to work, and the theme song from The Breakfast Club came on. And I thought, yeah, love that. Love this song, love that movie. It's still so timely, the idea of bringing people together, and they seem so different, but you force them to interact. Maybe they have more in common than they think. And then, because this is how my brain works, I thought, what if one of them died? And that became One of Us is Lying. So
Amazing.
that was a completely different experience from the other two books, which
Mm.
really didn't go anywhere. With this one, I only sent a handful of queries. I got responses right away.
Mm.
I immediately connected with my agent, who represents the author of The Hunger Games, Suzanne Collins. So it was like
Wow.
full
Oh,
circle moment.
I was
That's
going to
so
ask,
cool.
did you ever meet
Mhm.
Suzanne Collins?
No, this
Oh,
is this pains me
yeah,
deeply, because I really thought that was going to happen. That would be
yeah,
one of the perks of sharing an agent. And Suzanne, rightly so, she does not go out to festivals and
Mm.
whatnot.
yeah.
She kind of like does her thing. And she's not really sort of on that young adult author circuit where you get to meet people. She's
Hmm.
beyond that. So I
Yeah.
have yet to meet Suzanne Collins. I still hope that I will one day, if for no other reason than to just thank her, because I would not have this career if I hadn't been so inspired by the Hunger Games.
I hope she knows that story. I hope she knows that, and maybe she's
I
listening
think my
now.
agent
Mate, yeah, I
probably
was
told
gonna
her.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe she's a fan of the
Suzanne,
podcast.
Yeah.
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 amazing.
But 2014, that was like when YA, I think dystopia, like you say, dystopia was dead. But
Hmm.
that sort of period in the few years before it was when YA really came into its own and was like a massive thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
people and publishers were like, oh, actually, there is a market here for those readers. And so, like, really tough time to find an agent. But you obviously, you got the right story, and
I
what
think
an
that was
amazing
it.
story.
Hmm.
It's one of those things where it was the right idea.
Mm,
It was like a hooky idea. People got it right away. If I said The Breakfast Club with murder, everybody knew what I meant.
Hmm.
amazing.
But also, I was a much better writer than I had been when I first started. So if that had been my first idea, I don't think I
Mm,
would have had the skills to execute it well enough to get someone's interest. So there was certainly some luck involved in sticking with it long enough to have an idea that was marketable,
mm,
and that was something that you could put in front of people with a sentence and they would kind of understood what it meant. I think the benefit of that cannot be understated. That marketing side of publishing is so critical.
mm.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask. So when you thought, right, this is what I want to do again, and you were inspired by the Hunger Games, what did you do? Did you just sort of you sort of wrote those books that then didn't go anywhere, and you said they were kind of like fan fiction, but did
Yeah.
you do any courses or anything, or was there like a book or anything that you thought, right, this is going to teach me how to do it?
No, it's a weird thing about me. I am not a craft reader at all. Like I
Right.
learn by doing. So
Mm,
I never picked up like story or any of those other books that kind of explain how to write a book. I just wrote books.
yeah.
I I don't have the attention span for that. I
Yeah.
can see where it's valuable. Like I've tried it since, friends have recommended books that they love, and I'll think, oh, let me check this out. And I'll get like a chapter in and just I want to do something. So that doesn't work for me. I never took a class. I never read a book. I just read a lot of books, like the kind of books I wanted to write. And then I tried to write them. And I did try to learn a lot about the business of publishing. I would follow a lot of agents online. I would try to understand what are their requirements, what makes a good query, what would make mine stand out. The marketing side of it was very interesting to me, but the craft side of it, I felt like I just had to do the work.
Yeah.
That's interesting about the following people online, because I feel like we all did that. There was a certain time where Twitter was invaluable.
Oh, it was huge for me.
Yeah, it was
I met all of my author friends there. I learned so much from the agents I followed.
Yeah, and it was really open. It was really, I joke about the fact that I didn't know real people wrote books.
Yeah.
And Twitter was the first place that I kind of thought, oh, you're normal and you have a job and you're still doing this and you publish.
Right.
And I was like, so that means I can do it as well. And it suddenly made it all very, very accessible.
Yes, it was honestly a wonderful place for authors to meet and learn. And I don't know what to tell people now when they are starting out and they want to know like where to go and what to do. Like every platform has its good sides. There's a lot of book activity, but I have not found any place like that where it felt like such a water cooler for writers.
Yeah, definitely not in the same way. Just things like the little pitch competitions and
Yes, I did. I tried to do what was the big one? Pitch Wars. I did not get into that, by the way, but I was a mentor then after I
Nice.
got my book deal, which was nice. So it was a lot of things like that where you just had authors supporting other authors at kind of every stage at their journey. And you would, learn some hard truths. I remember one of the most
Yeah.
impactful things I ever saw on Twitter, this agent I was following, and this was with my second book, and I was sending out queries. It's getting better response, but still like a lot of just nothing. And she started this thread with, I'm going to tell you why you're not getting any responses from agents. And I was like, oh, good. She'll tell me these query secrets. And then she goes, maybe you just need to write a better book. And I was like, how dare! This is the best I can do. But honestly, I sat with that for about a week and I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. She's right. Like, I'm not there yet. And that kind of gave me permission to let that book go, I think a little sooner than I might have and move along quicker to One of Us is Lying. So it hurt, but it was applicable advice for me.
Yeah.
And it just shows the importance of having people looking at your work and whoever they are. And you just need that other pair of eyes to be told, no, that this isn't quite it, or maybe have you thought about this? Or because when I first started writing, I would never have dreamed of showing it to anybody. Like, I'm like, no way, no way.
Right?
I'm not.
It's terrifying.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Criticize me?
Yeah, and even before, I think Cynthia and I met sort of through luck, really. And I think I don't. If I hadn't have met Cynthia, I think I would have got to the point where I was like sending stuff to agents and still not have had anybody read it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such a valuable part of the whole process, I think.
And that's one of the most frustrating things when you're just starting out is you don't know how to make things better. You're almost at that tipping point where you have better taste, you know what good is, but you don't know how to get to good. And it's that kind of frustrating moment when you're close, but you're still not quite there yet.
Yeah. I think I remember you saying almost that exact same thing to me, Georgia, when we first kind of got in touch. You said, I've been close. I've had like agents read it, but I'm just not there yet. And I was still like, da-da-da. Mine's going to be a film and this end bit's going to be really good on screen. And then you learn your lessons, don't you? But it's interesting that we've all got that same kind of point of view, because none of us come from a creative writing background, in the sense of we didn't do it as a degree. We didn't come straight out
Yeah.
of university
No.
like with the idea of being a writer. And some people are zeroed in on it from kind of day one, and they go
Yeah.
about all these different things. So they learn their craft that way. Whereas I feel like we all just kind of accidentally discovered that we liked to do it and then had to figure out how to make it good.
Yeah.
Mm. Do you feel like your career in marketing, do you think that that has been like valuable? Do you think that you'd be where you are at this point if you hadn't have had that experience?
I think it helps a lot,
Mm.
for sure. And in particular, I think it helps with positioning. Like every book I write, I make sure that I can sum it up in a sentence. It's that elevator pitch idea. Like if you're on stepping into an elevator with someone and you can only tell them one thing before the door closes and the trip is over, are they going to know what you're talking about? And so every book I write, I try to give it like that log line, that
Mm.
thing that is the essence of the book, but is also hopefully like kind of catchy. So that's helpful. I think just, not being afraid to speak, having experience with public speaking, sometimes
Mm.
that can be challenging for new authors. Authors in general tend to be introverts, right? We're not always the most outgoing people, although some are certainly. But having had to do that in other venues and being comfortable with it, and you can throw me in wherever, and I'm okay with that. That
Mm.
I think helps a lot. And social media, again, being like comfortable there, being able to create a lot of your own stuff, because as much as your marketing team might have assets to share with you, a lot of it for all authors at all levels, it's still on you
Mm-hmm.
to talk about your book and try to help audiences understand what it's about and hopefully get excited about it.
Mm.
So that leads us quite nicely to book one, which was One of Us is Lying, which is obviously the still books have these weird little lives of their own, don't they? That they go off and do whatever. So that book would still be maybe most closely associated with your author name. That's the one that people
Yes.
think of first. So how did that acquisition happen? Was it a big, fanfare, 6, 7, 8 figure deal like we've seen some authors get over the last few years? Was it a bit quieter? And then
It
what
was,
happened when it was published?
yeah, it was interesting because it wasn't one of those big splashy books, and when you're a new author, like we all know what those books are. We have like Facebook groups for the 2017 debuts, and there were a couple books that had been like multi-house auctions, like the film rights had already sold. They were
Yeah.
on every most anticipated list. And by the way, those books were phenomenal.
Mm.
And they have done very well, and they should have done well. But One of Us is Lying wasn't one of those books. It did sell quickly. My agent, I think, did a first round of submission, and we actually got 3 like really fast passes. And I was sort of like, oh, this
Yeah.
wounds me. Like that was so quick. But they all said nice things. And then my editor, I think, did sort of like a preempt, because once she had a chance to read it, she was like, I definitely want this. Like whoever else it's out to, just like tell them no, and my agent thought that she was a great fit for me, which she was. And so we're like, yes, we will very happily take this. And I was very happy with the deal. As a new author, I was super pleased with it, super pleased with my editor and my publisher. So all of that was really good, but it definitely wasn't like a splashy deal. And there wasn't a lot of fanfare around it. People who knew me were excited for sure. But it wasn't the kind of book that everybody knew about. But it was a word of mouth book. I think that was the really cool thing about it, because when it first came out, it didn't hit the bestseller list. And I had not expected it to. So I wasn't disappointed. And then same thing, second week, third week. And I'm still working my 9 to 5. I'm like doing my normal life, thinking about my second book. And then the fourth week, all of a sudden, there it was. And then every week it would like climb a little higher, a little higher. And it just stayed there for so long. And even my publisher was kind of like, what, what is going on here?
I
We
mean,
didn't really
how many
expect
weeks?
this.
How many weeks
It
is
was
it?
about 5 years total.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I know.
So a lot of weeks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
a lot of
And
weeks.
do you know, obviously it's a great book. I love that book. Everyone who's read it. But like what happened in that fourth week? Have you ever managed to drill it down to something
Well,
specific?
what I have been told since then, this is like the knowledge that you don't have, and it's probably a good thing, was that it actually had the numbers to hit its first week. But we all know the list is
Oh,
curated, right? And
Wow.
in particular, if you're not one of the highly anticipated books, you're not going to be necessarily
Mm.
on that radar screen. So I think it was just a case where they couldn't ignore it any longer.
good for your book.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's one of those things that you have no idea is a thing until you're actually working in publishing and you're
No.
like, oh, that's outrageous though. Surely that can't be allowed. And they're like, no, yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's how it is. Everyone just accepts it.
That's
it is
amazing. And
crazy.
it must have been word of mouth and people just reading this book
Yeah.
and telling
And
their
there were
friends about it.
a few really great like media placements, Entertainment Weekly really liked the book and they added it to some of its most anticipated lists. And they also did a really nice review like when it came out.
Mm.
So that was great. So there were things like that, like champions,
Mm.
and media who had read it. But so much of it was just readers and readers doing like really like now I think it would be like going viral on TikTok, but of course it
Yeah,
wasn't around then, but you
no.
had readers just telling each other like, you have to read this. And
Yeah.
they were passionate enough about it that they would convince people.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I know we still talk about book bloggers, but that was probably around the time where blogging was like, book bloggers were a really big part of the whole,
Yeah.
like, process. So, yeah, wow.
It's one of those books, I think it like alongside Holly Jackson's first book, that I still see on tables in
Mm.
Waterstones, and you still see kids hovering around them. And every now and then I think, who hasn't read this book yet? Like
Right.
Yeah,
everyone has read this book, but it's lovely because there's kids coming up who
yeah,
are still finding this
Yeah.
book however many years later
yeah.
because it's
We're
still
Yeah.
got
we're
such good prominence.
we're always. I'm a librarian, and we're always buying replacement copies. Always.
Oh, why did they get stolen?
No, because they
Oh,
get read out, so they fall apart. Like
right.
they just
Okay.
go in and out, and after a while, you have to like replace
Love
it
to
because
hear
the
that.
page. Yeah, so cool, and the pages are all falling out, and you just think
Oh,
there's this whole new generation of readers coming in and discovering
yeah.
this book and borrowing it.
Yeah,
So
and it
yeah,
it has had, wonderful longevity.
mm,
Readers continue to discover it, and that's been amazing.
So you have also written two sequels. So it turned into a
Yes.
trilogy that I remember we talked about, and that was never on the radar. So how did
No, I
that come
wrote it
about?
as a standalone. But then obviously anytime a book does well, your publisher like, can we have more of that?
Yeah.
And I wasn't at all opposed to it. I love the world, but I did feel like I cannot go back into the minds of those four characters. Like I put them through enough. Like my mind would not go there. So I just thought, like, what if I introduced a new generation? What if Maeve, Bronwyn's sister, who's a character I always wanted to spend more time with, what if we bring her into the mix and surround her with some other people? So that was the way that it worked. And then by the time I had the thought of the third book, I felt ready to go back to some of those main characters. But it's not the ideal way to write a series, right? Like you would do certain things quite differently if you knew it was going to be three books versus one book.
Yeah.
So there's sort of the shuffling that has to happen of things that you closed up that you have to like unclose or, corners you painted yourself into that you have to somehow paint yourself out of. So I don't recommend writing your series as three standalones that you have to somehow connect, but I do think it worked out.
yeah, Yeah, definitely. Are we, sorry, it's so fascinating talking about all of this. I'm just conscious of the time. You were going to talk to us about some research that you've done. Presumably there was a lot of research into how to kill somebody and, all of,
Various different ways.
yeah.
I know we're
Anything.
on so many watch lists, right?
I know, I know.
I I think my browser is like worried about me, because I've had a lot of drug overdoses
Ooh.
in my books, and so I do a lot of that Googling, and then it tells me help is here,
Oh,
like it really wants me to know that I can reach out if I need to, which I do appreciate. But yeah, there's a bit of that. I did a short story for an Agatha Christie estate anthology,
yeah.
Marple. It's
Oh,
way
yeah.
behind me there, which was a really cool opportunity to tell a story featuring Jane Marple, Agatha Christie's iconic spinster lady detective. And I thought, well, if you're going to do Agatha Christie, right, you got to do like a good old fashioned poisoning. So,
Mm.
so I did a deep dive into that. And I thought, Agatha back in her day, she was, I think, a pharmacy technician. So she actually like already knew all of this stuff, which was fortunate for her because she did not have the internet at her fingertips to explain, okay, what plants that grow in New England can kill you?
Yeah, I've done similar searches. What naturally occurring things in the household could
Yeah.
be
Mhm.
used, which is worrying for everyone involved, isn't it? Um, so aside from the murdering and the poison, and is there any other research you find yourself doing, even if you then never use it or use very, very little of it?
I feel like I do a lot of that, like I go into little rabbit holes, like one in particular that always makes me laugh because I never used it. But at one point, I was going to give a character a protection dog, like the kind of dog that like gets trained, like a German Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois. I think that's how you say it, or a Cane Corso, and they get these specialized training, and they're like, really tough dogs. And I got super into protection dogs, so much so that I still get fed videos of them on my For You page on
Oh,
TikTok, and I still watch every single one of them, and I still like them. And I just keep feeding the algorithm because I think those dogs are so cool. And it's amazing how like strong and tough they are and how protective they are. And I really do love them, but it didn't fit in the book. And so I have all this knowledge
mhm.
Mm.
at my fingertips someday, maybe for the right book. But until then, I will just watch them, do their training and applaud, like, good boy.
It's so funny because I've just found myself in that same situation where I've like deep dived things that I would have never thought of, and then it doesn't work for the book. So I now have this
Yeah.
weird knowledge of like cryogenic, or is it, oh, the oxygen hyperbaric oxygen
Oh,
chamber.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah. And do they have glass windows in? They can have glass windows. And yes, you can smash them. And, various other things that would lead to somebody dying in one of those chambers. So very, very weird research hole that
Yeah.
hopefully one day will come in useful. No cute videos fed to me about that one though.
Yeah, that's sad. That's a shame. I've had to do a load of research into a topic that I can't really talk about it because it's not been announced yet properly, but it's a world that I was not in the least bit familiar with. And probably I would go as far as to say not interested in.
Mhm.
Um, and then once I started researching, I have become the most annoying person in the world whenever this particular topic comes up. And I'm like, well, actually, I think you'll find that. And yeah, and I can feel myself doing it, but I can't stop myself. I'm like, I've done the research, so I know.
You're a nerd
Um,
now.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that is one of the lovely things about authors that I always appreciate in other authors is how curious everyone
Mm,
is. Like I can be endlessly interested in the most mundane things. If you let me dig in deep enough to find like whatever little human side exists in this thing, I can spend hours talking about it. And I found other authors are like that too. Just very, very curious.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a really great part of the whole process, I think. And one thing I've noticed recently is that my how I research or get into a topic has changed quite a lot over the years. You know, before it was like, well, I still try and get hold of everything that I can, like book wise, you know, borrow a load of stuff from the library and just pour through it all. And then of course the internet research, which is where this all comes from. But the thing that's been really annoying me recently is when I Google something and you get that awful AI summary right at the top.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think,
Yeah.
I'm not five, I want to find it out for myself, but you can't help reading it. You can't help, like, and I know it includes the sources of information, but I just think I'm really aware of it, so I try and avoid it. And I think, no, I'm doing it myself, but I wonder how well other people probably aren't ignoring it.
Yeah.
So that like really fun part of the research process where you're getting really deep into it, yeah, I guess people are maybe missing out on it a little bit, but don't get me started on
I've
AI.
also found it's wrong a lot.
Yes, it
You
is
know, like
Right.
wrong.
sometimes
Yeah,
I'll read the top and I'll be like,
yeah,
that doesn't
no,
sound right. And then you go a
yeah,
few things down to, like the Mayo Clinic or someplace
mm,
that's actually,
yeah,
like valid and knows what they're talking about. And it's not even right. So
yeah.
big
It
like
likes to,
Yeah.
grain of salt with those summaries.
yeah, it likes to sound like it's right. It has no problem sounding like it's right.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, which is really scary. But anyway, we could go down a rabbit hole with
I
this
know,
conversation, couldn't
right?
Yeah.
we?
I know. I know. It's just everywhere at the minute, isn't it?
Mm,
But you're right, like research is fun.
yeah,
And
it is.
I think it is something about our personalities and it's something about our jobs. But also I think we must be natural people watchers as well. So like that
Yes.
curiosity, you just want to, like, I can't work in a cafe because I am way too nosy. Like I will just listen to everyone else's conversation instead of doing what I'm doing. Um, because people are just endlessly fascinating. And I think a lot of that feeds into that research aspect as well of writing and like character. Have you ever based any characters off a real person?
No, I really try not to do that because I don't know how it would be taken in the kind of
Yeah.
books that I write. Like they're not full of great people. Um, let's just put it that way. But I will like I'll often take a little snippet, because the one thing you want to do with your characters is make them feel real, like real true three-dimensional people who have like little quirks and habits. And so sometimes if a friend of mine has like a funny little habit that I think would work in a book, I'll borrow it and I'll tell
Mm,
them. Like for example, there's
Yeah.
the character of Knox in One of Us Is Next. Whenever he like prepares his coffee, he takes like three sugar packets, puts them all together, and tears them at the same time. Like he doesn't want people to know how much sugar he's putting in, which is exactly what my friend does. I'm like, we can tell. We
yeah.
know it's three sugars. Like just put them in separately. You're not fooling anyone. But that's like his personality, and that's her personality as well. Just like, I'm just gonna quietly do this thing off to the side here and nobody will notice. So it's like stuff like that I will pull in. Harmless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
cool.
does make somebody just that little bit more realistic, doesn't it? When they've got a little habit like that that you can relate to.
Yeah.
I think
And
as
I
well
think
in
for me,
books.
like, especially when I start drafting, I'm a pretty fast drafter. And that kind of detail isn't there at first. It's
Yeah.
all kind of like,
Mm,
it's basically dialogue, in the first draft a lot of times. And then you have to really kind of go back and flesh everybody out and figure out how to make them feel relatable and
Hmm.
human and, all those good things.
Yeah, because you will know that and you will have those characters in mind, but the process of getting that onto paper is harder than it looks, isn't it?
That's the other thing, that I didn't know as a teen struggling to finish a book was to never compare your first draft to someone's finished product,
mm,
I mean the iterations that you have to go through to get it from that like messy tangle of thoughts in your first draft to something that's polished and makes sense and has arcs for all of the characters. It's such a lengthy process and it takes a lot of input and feedback from really smart professionals to help you figure out what's working and what isn't.
Hmm.
yeah. Um,
Definitely.
I just thought of a story when we were talking. Funnily enough, it involves a packet of sugar. But sometimes when I'm writing, I might have told you this, Cynthia. When I'm writing, sometimes I can't see a character and I know it's not working. Like I'm doing the
Mhm.
words and they're there, and I'm like, this person just isn't real yet. I'm not seeing them properly. And then sometimes I might meet a person and think, oh, they look like you. So like that helps a little bit. And
Yeah.
I when I wrote my first book, the main character, who was called, I can't remember his name now, it's so long ago. Gosh, what is his name, Cynthia?
You
Oh,
like the first book?
no, Mark of the Wicked. Anyway, it doesn't
Oh,
matter. But um, he, yeah, I couldn't see him properly in my head. And then when I went into my local Costa coffee shop and there was a guy working behind the counter, I was like, oh, that's him. That's clearly him. And
oh,
he was like,
Serendipity.
yeah, he was like about 20. He had like curly hair. He was really tall. And then it became my local shop. And so I was going in and sort of studying him, and like, but not being weird about
I was
it.
going to say
And
not
then,
creepy.
no,
Fine
not in a
line.
creepy way, not in a creepy way. And then the book ended up becoming, it came out and everything. And I was in there one day and I had the book in my bag and I thought, shall I? And I was standing there and he was making my coffee. And I was like, shall I tell? No. Yes. Shall I? No. No, this isn't a good idea. He's younger than me. He's going to think I'm weird. And I was getting myself into such a pickle. And then he put my coffee on the counter and I was standing there holding a packet of sugar, going through this like, shall I, shan't I? And he said, just throw that in there, meaning open the packet of sugar and tip it into the coffee. I threw the entire packet into the coffee because I was in such a pickle. And then obviously, and he was like, oh, I'll just make you another one. And then I grabbed it. And then, of course, I had to go and find another coffee shop to start going to.
Obviously,
Oh
you can never go
no.
Yeah.
back there.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, no, I never went back. And obviously, he never knew. So, but he was very sweet about it.
well,
So you could have a character who throws their entire packet of sugar into their coffee. They love the
I
paper
love that.
taste. Yeah.
Love that. And
oh,
be like, what? I meant to do that,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's how I take it.
like when someone
Uh,
says "Have a nice day," or
oh,
and you go "You too,"
or you say
but they
happy
say something.
birthday.
Oh, yeah, you say the wrong
Yeah,
Or
thing. But
have a
that's
nice flight, as they're
yeah,
staying in the
yeah.
airport and off you
yeah.
go. Yeah.
But
I
you could have
said,
Automatic.
taken that up to like 100 there.
yeah. I was in a shop once and the lady said, have a nice day or something. I was anticipating some kind of some question or a goodbye, and so I had you too and thanks in my head and I said yats.
And the nice thing about like being word people is we can obsess over that kind of thing for
Yeah.
years. That doesn't end at the moment.
That's it. Oh. Anyway, what are you if you do you have time to read? Who are you reading at the moment?
Yeah, I am not reading currently because I am working on some stuff. But before that kind of started up, I was on kind of an Alice Feeney kick.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah, she's an adult thriller writer, and I had
Mm.
seen her stuff around, but I just hadn't read it. And I was actually looking for audiobooks to listen to because I'm trying to listen to more audiobooks. And one of her like older books was available now, so I was like, sweet, let's get it. And the narrator was great. And the book was really fun, so I immediately reserved a bunch of other books, and they've kind of slowly been becoming available. Yeah, and I think she's great. She's British, maybe Scottish. I'm not sure. A lot of her characters are Scottish, but she has really great, twisty, atmospheric, kind of like tense domestic suspense
Mm.
type books that I'm really enjoying.
You
Yeah.
remember the title?
Rock, Paper, Scissors
Oh, yeah.
is one. One I just finished was called Sometimes I Lie, which is such a good title. I kind of wish I thought of it first.
It sounds
I
like
get
one of
title
your
envy
books.
sometimes. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
is listening to audiobooks, is that quite a new thing for you? Have you
It
just sort of
it
decided that it
is.
fits in with
I
your
like
like
doing
day?
it while I'm like walking my dog, or
Yeah.
running errands type of thing. The only problem is, and I listen to them at like 1.5 speed because I'm like, let's keep the pace going. But
Yeah,
I read like super, super fast. If I'm actually reading a book, I can finish it in a day. And it's just not possible with an audiobook. So if I'm like really curious and I want to know what's happening, it's a little bit of torture because it just doesn't go as fast as I could go.
Mm.
But it's great. That's why maybe suspense books are not like the ideal to listen to in that format, and I
yeah.
should just pick another genre because I'm like 1.75. Like, come on, Alice, what's happening? And the people are going,
I think as well, because we write YA, you're so used to, 60 to 80,000 words and everything's
yeah.
happened and it's so fast and it's, you know, like you don't get a breath. And then in adult books, it all takes a little bit more time.
Yeah.
And you just,
Although Such
yeah.
Charming Liars was the closest I have ever come to 100,000 words.
Oh,
It was
really?
only a couple thousand short. Yeah, it's a really long book. When you add a heist to a murder, it turns out there's like a lot of plot to go through.
It didn't feel like it. And I listened to that on audio actually.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. But I
The
do
narrators
listen.
were really good for that.
She was really good. And I listen at 1.35. That's my sweet spot
Okay.
because
Yeah.
Mm.
I just need it to be faster. And I find that they go a little bit slower than normal speech anyway. So I need to speed
Yes.
it up. But 1.5
Yeah,
is too much. So I found my
it
little
is. It doesn't
sweet
sound
spot.
quite right.
No.
I'm part of a book group and I always feel so guilty if I can't read the book by the time we meet up. I have started listening to audiobooks and it's usually when I'm in the car. And a couple of times I like one of them we did the Fourth Wing and I'm sitting
hmm
there listening to it in my car like in the traffic lights are on and I'm like, oh, I hope nobody can hear this. And another one we read was Kafka on the Shore, and which was really good. And I was listening to it and I went to pick up my colleague and just like it just switched my car off while she came out and sat down next to me. And then when I put it back on, that it came back on full blast. And in this book, the main character is so obsessed with his penis. There's so much like talk and focus on it. And it was this whole scene where he was like being really, explicit about what he was doing. And I was like, oh, it's like I have my, child in the car. I was like, oh, I'm just listening to this for a book group.
It's for
It
book
was,
club.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
pause, pause, pause.
Oh,
Yeah, so you have to, yeah, I don't recommend listening to some of these things in the car.
yeah.
Yeah, the problem is you never know, right? Until you get to that scene.
No,
It's like,
and then
oh.
it's too late. Yeah.
And if it's at 1.5, then it's
Yes.
over before you realize it's happened.
Oh,
Anyway, um,
yes.
are you allowed to tell us about anything that you've got on the horizon?
No.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not, but I am working on some stuff. Some stuff. Hope
Good
to be able to
answer.
share something about that
No,
soon.
Cynthia,
You
move
know,
on.
publishing, they're
I
just
do. Yeah.
Mm,
That's it.
it's
You've
time
always,
when it's time.
yeah, you're allowed to talk about some stuff and other stuff you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am working. I honestly did take like a nice little break after Such Charming Liars came out because at that point I had done 8 books in 8 years
wow.
and I was tired. I
Mm,
was a little bit burnt out.
mm.
So I said, oh, I'm going to take 3 months and do nothing. And then 3 months later, it's like maybe just another 3 months. And
Oh,
then three
no.
months, it ended up being quite a bit longer than 3 months. But that was important. The well was empty at that
Yeah.
point, so I just needed a little time off to fill it. And I don't know if you've been through that at all, but I had been so productive for so long, and then I just couldn't
Yeah.
work on
Mm.
anything for a bit.
I think when you're trying to get published and you're trying to find an agent and you're trying to do all of that, and it's like I want to achieve this goal, and then I want to achieve this goal, and then this, that, and the other, and then you get to a point where you're doing that thing that you've always wanted to do, and a job that lots of other people want to do as well, and like you're one of the lucky few. And I can imagine you get to a point where you're like, I can't say no to this thing, or they're asking this of me and I don't feel like I can turn it down because I just feel in such a good position at the moment. And then that probably is not sustainable at all.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't. Because
Yeah.
I had such a dream ride. I was so lucky in so many ways, and kind of like all the things that I wanted to have happen happened.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
got to be on the bestseller list. I got to have a TV show. I got to
Mm.
travel internationally. I was published in all these languages. It was such a wonderful ride. And it almost got to the point at the end of 8 books where I sort of thought, well, maybe I've just done it all. And
Oh.
I did all the
Oh,
things, and this is my work. This will be my
Mm.
legacy, is these 8 books, and maybe that's okay. But we are curious by nature, right? And things crop up and you can't stop thinking about them. And the
yeah.
next thing you know, you're
Mm.
suddenly at your keyboard again. So,
Yeah.
which is the great thing about this job is, all it takes is one idea to catch hold of your imagination, and, suddenly you can see things differently.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is there anything on your writing, on your publishing bucket list that you haven't done yet? Anything new?
I think the one thing that I would still really like to do, and it's not 100% like it's not within my control at all, and it's not totally publishing related. But I was fortunate to have a TV adaptation, which is really cool. But I was not very closely involved in the creative side of that, and that's
Mm.
something I think that I would still like to do.
Mm.
But that is the trickiest of things to wish for, because
Yeah.
so many things have to go right in order for a show to even get made, let alone for you to, be able to be closely involved on the creative side of things. And can't talk about specifics, but I do have a book kind of in development at the moment, where very, very early, but I am in sort of more of that not even consulting, but like producing type
Mm.
role, or I would be if it goes anywhere. And I'm able to be involved in those early conversations about, like, how would we take this to screen if it happens? And so that's been really fun. But
Mm.
anybody who's ever had a book option knows that that may be as far as we ever get, and
Mm.
that's okay.
And
Yeah.
which of your books would you, if you were able to like do what you're talking about, which title would be your favorite
Well,
one?
I can't say because it's the one
Oh,
that
okay, right. Okay, I
we're
Oh.
nearly got it out
we're
of you.
working on now. But I'll tell you the one I would not do, and it
Right.
actually has been in development, and it didn't go anywhere. And I turned out I was actually glad about that, because the further it got in the process, I thought, I don't think this book is suited for film, and that's
Mm.
Two Can Keep a Secret.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
the ending to that, to me, is, I would never want to undo it, or to have to have the characters move on from what it is, which you inevitably need if you're good. Everybody wants like a season 2 type of thing.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
don't want that story to continue. I do not want that to be
Mm.
opened up. I want the characters to live in it forever. So I think that's the one book, to me, it just wouldn't work on film. Like, I would not enjoy
Right.
seeing it go through that process again.
Mm.
But you never know, like the right vision, the right
Yeah.
partner, anything's possible. At the moment, I think it wouldn't work, but things can always surprise you.
Mm.
Hmm.
Oh, exciting. Well, fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Yeah, we shall
Mm.
see.
Yeah.
So you can answer. Oh no, we've got listener questions. We missed
Yes.
out the
Oh,
listener
sorry, I
questions.
skipped them, didn't we? Sorry.
Georgia.
I know.
Mm.
Overexcited.
Okay, so we've got Shelley. So Shelley runs a book club on Instagram called the Tales Point Horror Book Club. Do you remember Point Horrors?
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
know if they were as big of a thing in the US, but I've got one here that I'm reading now for a little Christmas read called The Snowman. And they're
Oh, that
R.L.
looks
Stein.
festive.
Yeah, it's great. It's a snowman with no head, for those who can't see. Um, but she runs a book club and she has guest authors on. So she had us on last week, the week before. And
Yeah, a couple of weeks
basically,
ago.
we dissect the book, but they're all from the 90s. So there is a lot to talk about
Yeah.
and there is a
Yeah.
lot to unpick. But she is a big fan and she would like to know, what books did you read growing up? And did any of them influence your writing?
Yeah, the young adult genre was not nearly as robust when I was growing up. We did have Lois Duncan, with like
Yeah.
Killing Mr. Griffin, and I know
Hmm.
it's what was the other one? Um, I can't remember. But anyways, I did read those. But I read a lot of Agatha Christie. Was a big, big Agatha Christie fan. Also Stephen King. I feel
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
every author I
Yeah.
know read Stephen King like way too young, like maybe age 10 or something, I think was
Yeah.
when I picked up the
It's
stand and
crazy.
was like, this is great. I don't understand half of it, but I like it. So it was a lot of that.
Yeah. I think you are right. Every writer, especially thriller, horror,
Yes.
like Stephen King was the gateway into all that
Hmm.
stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And probably shouldn't have been, but there wasn't anything else. So
No.
yeah,
Lois Duncan did I Know What You Did Last Summer, didn't she?
she did.
Okay, I was trying to remember if that was her or
Yeah.
not.
It is. And she also did a book that I can't remember the title of. And um it's
Is it about faces?
maybe, but it's about a
Right, right,
girl who
right,
gets
right.
killed. But
The, the,
then,
the stranger who took my face or something.
oh, maybe. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, wasn't there like a girl who went to live with another girl's family and that was super creepy?
Yeah.
But Lois
Oh,
Duncan's daughter was murdered.
oh gosh.
Yeah,
So she
yeah,
ended up
she stopped
writing,
writing.
she did, but I think she wrote a book about basically trying to find out what had happened and
Yeah,
that so
yeah,
like a biography type thing. But yeah, it stopped
yeah.
her from writing those
So
couple
tragic.
books. Really, really sad. But I listened to that case on, I can't remember which podcast, but I listened to it on a true crime podcast. And then at the end, they were saying this, this girl's mother was Lois Duncan, the author.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, crazy. But yeah, I didn't read Lois Duncan, but because I was at peak age for I Know What You Did Last Summer to be out in the cinema, the
Uh,
golden glory days of 90s horror. So I watched it rather than read it.
Um, yeah, sorry.
All right.
I think I'm trying to remember whether I read I Know What You Did Last Summer, but the stranger who with my face or who took my face was so creepy and yeah, like unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
It
Never
like
read
great
that one.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
just what
yeah,
just what you
she
need.
she did suspense really, really
Yeah,
well. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember details about the books because it was
no.
so long ago, but I definitely
Mm,
remember just not being able to turn the pages fast enough.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, so next question, Neve asks, how did you manage the different points of view in One of Us is Lying?
Oh, that was one of my favorite things to do, partly because, when I first started writing it and I was sharing early pages with my critique partners, and pretty much everybody said to me, you have too many characters. And like, this is confusing. Just pick one, and tell it from their perspective. And,
Mm,
you don't know, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I should do that. So I tried. I tried writing it just from Bronwyn's perspective. And almost immediately, I realized that was not going to work. Like the book needed all four. It just wasn't going to be the same book if it didn't have all four. So I thought, I think what I need to do is take like spirit of that critique and not the letter. And I think what you're telling me is that the voices sound too similar. So let me work on that. And so that was when I started creating playlists for each of my characters with like songs that I felt fit their personalities. And I would listen to that while I was writing them, or I would take like one scene and I would think, okay, I'm going to write this from every character's perspective until I know what what are the differences in how they would respond, what they would say, what they would think, just to, again, try and get myself to understand their speech and thought patterns in a way that would make them feel unique from one another. So
Mm.
there was a lot of background work that went into
Yeah.
trying to make sure they're very distinct characters. And I did character worksheets for all of them, basic things like this is what they look like, this is the kind of house they live in, but also the big things like, what do they want? What are they scared of? What's their secret?
Yeah.
And use that to flesh them out further.
I think that secret thing is really important in a thriller. Like if everyone has a secret, then
Yeah.
you can send it anyway, can't you? Or the reader can imagine it going anyway.
Yes.
I think that's a good one.
That's one
Mm.
of my favorite brainstorm parts, at the beginning of any project is what are they hiding?
Yeah, exactly. Why do they not want us to know this?
Mhm.
Okay, last one then. We've got Josh, and he would like to know which writing rules have you broken?
Well, I definitely broke, don't have four main characters. I don't know if that was a rule, but it was frowned upon
Mm.
in my writing circle. I don't know. I feel like it's good to know the rules, right? But in the end, you got to do what's right for the book.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of times, for example, like I killed someone in the first chapter of One of Us is Lying, which is great for hooking people, right? And it's sort of
Yeah,
a good thing to do in a thriller, but it doesn't work for every book. Other
Yeah.
books need like a slower approach, and you just kind of have to trust that your audience will go along with you because it's going to pay off.
yeah.
Mm.
That's interesting actually, because I did exactly the same in my debut. Someone just dies at the end of chapter one. And for that book, it worked really well and it set up the entire premise. And then
Yeah.
I've got others, and someone doesn't die till chapter 11. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so slow.
Yeah.
Like it's so boring up to now. And actually, it still happens very quickly. But yeah, it's that young adult thing of, you know, will they turn the pages along with me
Yeah.
if these things don't happen? And yeah, you do have to trust that they will kind of come on that journey.
Have
Yeah.
you, Cynthia, have you broken any writing rules?
Um, yeah, probably. I think my most notable one is I am on book number 8 and I just taught myself what an M dash is. I didn't know what it was. I really like using a dash. So I just throw in whatever is on my keyboard. Never learned
Mm.
what an M dash was or why to use one or how to make it. And every round of edits, that is what had to be replaced. And I thought, okay, it's time for me to figure out myself what it is. And then I don't need to keep fixing it. So
Yeah.
I think I've broke that rule for a long time and I've only just fixed it.
Yeah, I have accepted, for example, that I will never on the page understand the difference between farther and further. Like
Oh,
in my mind,
Really?
I
Yeah.
know what they mean, I do, but on the page,
Yeah.
nope.
n-
I use them
no.
interchangeably. It gets corrected every single time. I think, right, make note of that, Karen. Don't keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. In the moment, I don't know.
My most recent one is round. Like I would say it's around the corner, but it keeps being changed to it's round the corner. And so I don't know if
Hmm.
that's a colloquialism that I would say it's around the corner. And that's not correct
Mm.
English. But I've never come across it so many times. So whether I've just used the word around 8 million times in my latest book, but I never came across it really before. And it's been everywhere in this book. It's crazy. So now if
Lots
anyone
of
reads,
people lurking round or around the corner.
yeah. So if you're reading Paint Me Like You Dead Girls, maybe do a count of how many times I say round or around.
Yeah. Um, I I don't want to, I'm probably really a terrible writer for saying this, but I sometimes think it's okay to tell and not show. Oh.
Mm,
I think it's
And
fine.
and when I read some stuff that I really enjoyed as a kid or a teenager, I'm like, they're just telling me, they're not showing me. Why can they do it and
yeah.
I can't?
I've just read a very famous, very like bestseller of a book that was a Japanese translation, and that is all tell. That's someone telling you a story. It's not, you don't have to read between the lines and get to know the characters, and it's just a mystery and they are unraveling it for you. And it's done really
Yeah.
well. You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, maybe I'm not there yet. I'm not quite good enough to be, telling and not showing. But
I
also
like,
another,
yeah, a little mixture of both, I think, is
Has
yeah,
its place.
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Affect and effect. I still don't, and I'm like, I'll just change the whole sentence.
Yeah.
It's fine. And that's like when I'm sending an email,
Avoid
like,
that.
yeah, I just like, no, I still can't. Yeah. And also when something is past, somebody walked past, or I passed,
Mm,
a
Yeah,
coffee shop,
yeah.
I'm like, is it? What?
that's your
Which one?
southern accent, because I would say past or past, and it's like one's got a hard T and
Oh,
one
okay.
doesn't. So past,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
pass and pass.
yeah, in the bar. That's all.
Everybody's got something, it's
Yeah,
like that
Yeah.
little block in your brain.
yeah,
It's just, you can't waste too much time worrying about it. You just move on.
yeah. Let
Yeah.
somebody else worry about
Well,
it.
that's the nice thing about an editor, isn't it? That you can
Yeah.
just go, you know what, I don't get that, and somebody will fix it at some point.
I always love
Okay.
it when my editor says something like, why is she doing thinking this? And I just delete the entire
Yeah.
sentence.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, I've got a lot handier with stet. So if there's something,
Mm,
I'm like, I don't need to explain. I just like it. Stet. Um, but I think if it gets changed more than once, you're like, okay, I'll defer to
yeah,
you.
it's an actual issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you say stet and they go, yeah, that's fine. Keep it for voice, whatever. But when it keeps coming back, I am
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah. Okay, Karen, before you go, where can we find you online?
Um, my primary platform is Instagram, and I'm writer KMC on there.
Is there anywhere that you are not? Because I know sometimes people might get a
I'm
message from
basically
a platform.
not anyplace else. Yeah, I
Okay.
actually have something pinned to Instagram because I was getting impersonators on Facebook and Blue Sky. I am there. I just don't really have an author presence.
Mm-hmm.
Even TikTok, I took the name Writer KMC because I
Mm.
have that cross platforms, but I'm not active there. I don't post anything. So for news and information, it's basically just Instagram. And yeah, if you get a message from me, that is not me. I'm not going to message you if I don't know you. There's no scenario under which I would do that.
Good to know. Good to public service announcement.
Yeah.
Karen McManus is not messaging you.
I will not be in your DMs, I promise
No.
you.
I will be, because I am that person that will slide into your DMs. No, not in that way. There has been a few recently where an author friend of ours got an
Well,
email.
if it's a fellow author, I would do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if it's someone you know their name and you like their work, I would 100% drop them a note. But I wouldn't just show up in a reader and be
And
like,
Yeah.
hi, I'd really love to send you some of my books. And also if you give me your bank account details, maybe we
Yeah. How
could.
about we move this over to WhatsApp,
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. But it happens, doesn't it? And every now and then it crops up, and Georgia and I go, would we have fallen for that at the beginning when you are
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
trying to be a writer? And
Possibly.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there'd be
I
a
had a
point where we'd stop.
really active impersonator on Blue Sky for quite a while. It took a while to get rid of them because they're just, the moderation wasn't keeping up with the growth. And this person was just DMing people. And again, like you don't quite know what the end game is.
That's what
There's
I was
certainly
gonna
some
say.
Yeah.
service they're trying to sell, I guess.
Yeah.
But so my readers would like message me on Instagram and let me know because they could
Mm.
tell that that wasn't me. And then I think once people engaged for more than a message or two, they also realized it wasn't me.
Mm.
But there's
Yeah.
sort of those early moments where they're kind of like, okay.
Mm.
And it's just weird and awkward to have that happen.
Yeah, it's so
It is.
strange.
Is it kind of bad though that I'm like, if that happens, have I made it? When the impersonators start, does that mean that that's it? I've done it.
I would just love it if people got my name right and
Yeah.
not read it as Georgina and it's Georgia
Or Gloria.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't mind Gloria. That's my alter ego. Yeah.
Okay.
Karen,
Lovely.
thank you so much for coming on.
Mm,
It's just been so lovely. Thank you.
yeah.
My pleasure. And happy holidays.
Yes, and you. I hope you've got a bit of a break over the holidays.
I do. Yeah, I'll actually be traveling someplace warm, so I'm excited about that.
Nice. And I think you've just done epic Thanksgiving, haven't you? So a rest is deserved.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Well, enjoy it. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, it's
we'll
been
see you
brilliant.
soon.
welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Browser history deleted.